before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, folks, here at Pondering Politics, we have extensively covered the fact that Donald Trump is objectively, by far, bar none, the most corrupt president in American history. But seeing this figure attached to that, $3.4 billion, is staggering, knowing that we're only 6 months into his second term, and that number could be drastically higher by the end. Now, the report is in the New Yorker. It's called The Number, How Much is Trump Pocketing Off the Presidency by David D. Kirkpatrick, written August 11th, 2025. Now, usually here, when we do these, read these articles, we read them, from first word to last word, but this would leave us here for 3 hours. I've read this article. I encourage you to check it out. There will be a link in the description. But in the meantime, we're just going to read some snippets just to give you kind of an overview, okay? So this is the intro. At a press conference on January 11, 2017, President-elect Donald Trump explained for the first time how he would handle the many conflicts of interest that his business empire posed for his new role. His company, the Trump Organization, collected money from all over the world for luxury condos, hotel rentals, developmental projects, and club memberships, and he had made deals that put his name on everything, from mail-order steaks to get-rich-quick courses. Could citizens trust him to put the common good ahead of personal profit? How would he assure Americans that payments to his business weren't doubling as payoffs? A journalist asked Trump if he would release his tax returns, as presidents had done for decades. Trump said no, and then explained just how unconstrained he felt by such conventions. He'd recently learned that the president, being beholden only to the voters, is subject to none of the regulations that restrict subordinate officials from conducting private business on the side. He called the loophole, quote, a no conflict of interest provision, as if it were a perk of his employment contract. To illustrate just how glaring a conflict the law allowed him, Trump volunteered that during the transition, he'd entertained a $2 billion offer, quote, to do a deal in Dubai. The offer had come from an Emirati real estate tycoon with close ties to his country's rulers. Trump emphasized that he, quote, didn't have to turn it down. Nevertheless, he'd passed because he didn't, quote, want to take advantage of something. He disliked, quote, the way that looks. Therefore, he continued, his eldest sons, Don Jr. and Eric, would assume daily management of his businesses until he left office. Trump then turned things over to Sherry Dillon, one of his tax lawyers, who argued that he could hardly be expected to do more than the temporary handover. And it goes on to explain about how Trump's name was the real source of his income there, okay? Then it goes on to say that was a different era. Dillon's firm stopped representing Trump in 2021 after the mob he stirred up attacked the U.S. Capitol. And in Trump's second term, the president and his family have paid no mind to their lawyer's promise. During Trump's first term, they pledged to abstain from any new